Hello, hello. Welcome back to Crime Chats. I'm Hillary. As you can see, the other half of the screen is black. Don't worry, Lisa is okay. She's more than okay. She is on vacation, doing whatever it is people on vacation do. I have forgotten, it's been so long. She's in the chat with us, but she is not the other half of me today, so it's just me. Thanks for hanging out. So welcome back. Thanks for hanging out with us. I am getting mentally prepared for today's case because it's not a new case, it's not an old case. It's one that didn't get as much coverage as most people think it should have, yours truly included, and you're gonna see why. If you haven't heard of her, I'm not surprised, sadly, but today we're going to be chatting about the death of LaVena Johnson and the curiosities around her death because she was a soldier. And the reason I specifically am bringing you LaVena today is because in the United States, Memorial Day is coming up, Mother's Day is coming up, all these things. And as Memorial Day draws nearer, I think we need to remember not only those who have fallen in combat, but those who have been brushed under the rug while trying to fight for the honor of our country and patriotism. In this case, that is LaVena. I 100% believe that. And you'll hear me say I believe that because it's a twisted journey, I guess, of facts and things like that. So let's get straight to it. We have it's July 19th, 2005. We're in Balad. Not really sure how to say it. I'm sorry. Balad Air Base in Iraq. The sun isn't up yet. Not completely. It's pretty early. But it's hot. We're in the desert. I mean, come on. We have a contractor's tent, which is just a real big canvas tent held up by ropes and carabiner clips and things like that. It's not a barracks. It's not where someone would sleep or hang out. It's not a place where soldiers are supposed to really be. And we have a 19-year-old private first class. She's lying on the floor. Her name is LaVena Johnson. She has a gunshot wound to the head. There's a rifle nearby. And according to the official investigation, this was, quote, a self-inflicted gunshot wound, end quote. You'll see very soon that I agree with the family. When her body makes it home, her family takes one look at her and says, no, something else happened to our daughter. This case is very different because I've never been in the military. I don't have any close relatives in my living memory that were in the military or any armed forces where I can really relate to that life. So I'm going to do my very best to be objective coming at this, which I want to do anyways, right? I mean, duh, that's the whole point. This whole channel is about being real and not faking it to please the masses and, you know, and that's not who we are. But I don't want to, I've already said so much, but I was going to say, I don't want to pre-prejudice. I don't know if that's two negatives make a positive. I don't know. Whatever. I'm going to do my best. The whole point is to give you all the facts and let you make your own decision. But as you clearly already know, I've said it pretty point blank. You know where I stand. So let's learn about LaVena. LaVena Lynn Johnson. Her middle name was Lynn. LaVena Lynn Johnson was 19 years old. She was 8 days away from her 20th birthday. She was new to the Army. She had been there just 6 months. She'd been in the Army for like 6 months kind of thing, and she had just gotten to Iraq just for a few weeks. So recently that she hadn't been assigned a battle buddy, which a lot of accounts who have covered this case have have noted, and I agree, you know your thoughts on this, but I think, and so do most everybody else who's covered this case, that is a huge oopsie. I mean, that's a dumb way to say it, but you've got a new soldier. It doesn't matter if they're new or not, but everybody, if that's something that you need, everybody has a battle buddy, then everybody needs a battle buddy. Everybody. It doesn't matter who it is, how long they're there, or how long they've been there, or what. Everybody needs a battle buddy. Why didn't she have a battle buddy? Don't know. That's not explicitly explained. So there's that. Sorry, I jumped ahead a little bit, but I got a little carried away. There's a lot of things that are, for someone to be in a military situation, and if you know anything about the military, what I do know is they're very to the book and particular about following the rules. I don't know if that's really the thing I want to say, but following procedure, right? That's a pretty big one. Anyways, okay, moving on. I could harp on about that all day. So we're learning about LaVena. LaVena. As a human being, from her family members, she's described as being disciplined and ambitious and excited about her service to our country. Her father was in the service, and she wanted to follow in his footsteps. And the family, as far as what I've read and researched, they weren't too thrilled, especially mom, about her joining the Army. But, and I can only imagine being a mom, being a parent, being a family member, and at this time in our country's history, 2005, that was a pretty volatile time internationally, what with the 9/11 tensions and stuff still pretty high. I can imagine being a parent of a young adult not being very thrilled about my child saying, I'm going to go fight for our country in this very heated area. But they were proud of her for her determination and her maturity in the way that she held herself. Other soldiers, so her comrades in arms, described her as being very faithful, devoted, happy-go-lucky, She loved everybody. She was very kind. She had plans. She was excited to come home in October or November for her break. I'm not really sure. Forgive me for my lack of military term knowledge, but they were coming back for a break. And she was looking forward to that, to getting to see her family for Thanksgiving. And she was really excited about that. And she had a journal, and she would write all the time in this journal. And that was one thing that they were just, her comrades in arms, or her other soldiers over there with her in Iraq, noticed that she would talk about pretty often was she was really looking forward to this return visit home. So she wasn't done with her tour in Iraq, right? But she was excited to go home and see mom and dad and family, right? So keep that in your mind. If you don't know about this case, by the way, I'm going off the the mindset you don't know about LaVena. She had recently broken up with a boyfriend at home, and that was pretty devastating. Clearly, that's never a fun time, but she had plans. She had a future. She was 19, almost 20 years old. Nothing about her behavior from family life or soldier, military life, army life suggested that she was about to end her life or suicidal or anything like that. There are some reports and things that I'll get into in a little bit that might contradict that a tiny bit, and I'm going to explain that. But overall, she was a very optimistic and happy person, and that's stated in a lot of interviews with her comrades in arms and clearly her family and friends back home. So that's LaVena Johnson. And just to share with you, so you have something else to look at on the screen besides my face, I was going to share with you some photos. If I could work Streamlabs, would be great. Now, usually Lisa is the tech master when it comes to this. I don't want that. But I'm gonna do my best. I found some really nice photos of her, and it just reminds you how very young she was. She's a teenager, you know, and just while I'm looking for this source thing to share with you, I want to kind of just remind everybody that, I don't know, the military, if you've never been in those situations, I cannot imagine the horrors that our soldiers face on a daily basis, and so the mental gymnastics that they go through when they're there, but also when they come home, I'm not equipped to handle. Obviously not a professional, but I think, my personal opinion, we need to be really empathetic toward that and their situations. There's my soapbox. Now, I guess I'll just share my monitor with you. Is that what I do? Oh. Now you see everything. Welcome to Oz. Let's take that away, because I don't know if that's the right thing. Look, y'all, I'm struggling here. That might actually be it. I don't know. Hold on, let's undo that, and then we can do... I have an idea. I think this was right. Hold on. If I do that, thank you for bearing with me here. But then I put you down here. Yes. Okay. And then we go dun 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 dun. One moment, please. Is it? You know, it's not as straightforward. There she is. Okay. I was gonna say, it's not as straightforward when you're alone, but it's all good. Do I do... I figured it out. I think I say that. I think I did. Eh? Can you see it now? I know I'm on a lag, so I'm at like a 3 to 4 second lag. But I'm curious, can you now see LaVena Johnson on the screen with you? Her beautiful face. I'm going to go under the assumption that you can, because when I'm watching the viewfinder, I see her. So this is LaVena Johnson. Again, she's so young. Ugh. This is her with her rifle, her M16 rifle, in what I imagine is Iraq, in her tent. And this is an important image, and it's kind of hard to see because of the clip. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. Can I... make me a little bit more narrow? Then that way you can see her better. Because it's important to be able to see the size of her weapon for the allegations of her death. Because the official record is that she put the muzzle of this M16, which we can't even see in this photo, into her mouth and pulled the trigger. So she's 5'1" inches, 1 inch. So she's pretty petite. This weapon, this M16, is, I believe it was a 40 inch or 50 inch weapon, tall, long. However, that is the story we're meant to believe, is that she put this weapon in her mouth and was able to somehow hold it and fire it to then end her life herself. And then it ends up, the weapon ends up over, I think it's a bench, pointing, lots of different accounts here, but the final say, the final drawing, is that the muzzle is pointing the same direction as her head, but over that bench. So it's like you have LaVena, bench, gun. Oh, and then the tent was set on fire. And she's got a black eye, some loose and or broken teeth. Again, depending on the accounts and records that you read. And she's got chemical burns to her genitals. But she killed herself, of course. So I'm hoping you're hearing my sarcasm, because I 100% do not believe that she killed herself. Nor do her family members. There were also bloody footprints by her sleeping barracks, which she was not found in. Remember, at the beginning, I told you she was found in a contractor's tent, not in her sleeping barracks. So why are there bloody footprints by where she would be sleeping? There are also conflicting reports of her assigned weapon's serial number being different from the weapon found at the crime scene. And also, Dr. Johnson, her father, noted, again, when she was brought home, he saw that's not a gunshot through the mouth wound. He said that's a gunshot from, he was saying, from the above her right eye through her skull. He said that's not the right trajectory. That's a top down, not a bottom up kind of situation. He goes, no, no, this is not suicide. Someone killed her. There are a lot of other little pieces to this one that we can go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole on. There's an aerosol can in the tent where she was found. That has blood on it. There were piles of dirt nearby that the first passersby or the first soldiers who came upon the tent, who noticed it was on fire or noticed the fire, threw the dirt on the fire to smolder it or to extinguish it. So that could have, if she did pull the trigger herself, could have tampered with or messed up any kind of gunshot residue on her hands. The fire itself could have messed up any gunshot residue, swabbing, testing, that kind of stuff. There was gunshot residue on her hands, but it was so insignificant. I know that's a test term, I know that, but I don't like that word because it is significant. But I understand it's a scientific term. It's insignificant, meaning there's not a lot of it, or enough of it to really show one way or the other if that's what happened. You know, if she was holding the gun when it went off, or if she was just near it when it went off. You know, there's no way with the amount of gunshot residue that was on her hands to deduce, to tell if she was the one holding the gun when it happened. So anyone with a half a brain would be able to deduce. You know, yes. But as always, there's another side to this story, and I'll get to that. What is really hard is that clearly this was not a suicide. We can all see that. What sucks is so many things so many things were happening in the world right now. You had Hurricane Katrina. You had the war on terror, 9/11 and the attacks and all that kind of stuff. You had, it was almost like there wasn't enough human empathy, collective human empathy to expound, to provide, to share for this girl. And it just gives me, it makes me just want to curl. I'm doing it unintentionally. It makes me want to just curl in on myself because it's so sad. Because all of those things were awful and terrible, but this girl was murdered. And then the government covered it up and said she killed herself. I'm outraged. I mean, this I'm not usually one for like the cover-up conspiracies, right? But this one, I'm in. I'm all in on this one. And the other part of this, the other side of this, is that there was her superior, and I don't know if it was like one level above her or multiple, but he was above her in rank. And he was a married man. He was having an affair, and his superior gave him a command to end that affair, which he decided he didn't want to. He didn't want to end that affair. He was having a great time. I don't know what he was thinking. He didn't want to end the affair. Now, did he tell his superior that? Of course not, because cheaters be cheating. But what is assumed, because she's dead, we can't, I mean, that's such an awful, I don't know, it's not awful, it's true, but she's not here to defend the actions of what happened to her or what led up to what happened to her, but what we can deduce, we being the collective we, right? We can deduce what happened is that this man was carrying on this affair with a soldier, with a fellow soldier, that they were whatever, together, and that LaVena stumbled upon them during their affair-ing, I don't know, and he, knowing LaVena, was a very honest, devoted, good human being, would probably go report him, as she should have, because she knew it was against the rules, right? The assumption is that he attacked her. Oh, because there's also scratches and bite marks on her. You know, because you do that when you kill yourself. Anyways. So she's bruised up. She's got a broken nose, black eye, bruises, scratches. It fits a physical assault. And she's small. She's 5'1", 100 pounds, maybe. Right around. And he outranks her. I mean, imagine... I can't, but I imagine she was scared. She was afraid of the situation that she was in. She was afraid of having to turn in a superior for doing something morally against the rules, you know? And she's a woman, and I hate saying that. She's also black. You know, these things are against her in every way. You know, you have this, it's so It sucks. It sucks. Every part of it sucks for LaVena Johnson. You remember this too? And still, the final autopsy, the final say, is that it is a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, which is what caused her death. Okay, so where did the bite marks come from? Where did the black eye come from? Where did the broken nose come from? Why does she have chemical burns to her genitals? None of that's ever explained. Oh, remember that bench? Remember it was her body, the bench, the gun? The bench on the corner has blood, brain matter, and hair. LaVena's. Consistent with a brawl or a fight, a physical fight. One possibly fighting for one's life. And gets hit on the head. No, she must have shot herself. With this gigantic gun. It makes absolutely no sense. Anyways. A few months after this, by the way, that same man is dishonorably discharged, I believe. I'm not sure on that. I know he's discharged. I don't like that word. He's let go. He's removed from the military. Whatever. He's no longer gonna get his retirement, I think, or I don't know, something like that. The government lets him out as hush hush, covered up. Let's just not talk about it. I don't know. Because it's so enveloped in all these other big worldly things happening, it's like there's not a lot focused on this. And he's still out. He's still alive. He's still living his life. He's still on LinkedIn. Anyways, that's that. A couple of other pieces, I guess I'll call it, to this case. I read the entire 315-page CID, which criminal investigative document, I believe. I literally came up with that in my head, so I think that's right. I don't know. But I think CID is criminal investigative document. Anyways, it's when the government investigates the government. Isn't that nice? So but that is linked in, or will be linked in the show notes when we have it uploaded. When you have it uploaded to our YouTube and whatnot, because you're really good at that, and I'm not going to touch it because I'll mess it up. But I do have that in my notes. And I want to show you some things because I thought it was really interesting. And pretty sure I wrote all on it. Well, I know I wrote all on it, but I don't know if what I have linked is my writing or the official. I think it's the official one. So what's interesting is they have in this one. I don't remember. I'll open it anyways. So it has like multiple interviews with the different soldiers that were stationed with her, and they have different accounts of that night, pretty alarmingly different, which was interesting to me. See if I can get this over in the right area for everybody to see it nice and pretty. Now we've got a lot of pages. We just have a bunch of pages. I really wish I've written down these things. As you can tell, there's sworn statement of this, of that, of this person, of that person, of this person, of that person. Autopsy examination, criminal Investigation Laboratory. Did I get my acronym right? CID? Was that correct? Sorry, I'm gonna go back up. CID. Criminal Investigation Command. I thought it said CID. CIC. Well, my brain was close. Okay, what I'm gonna do is this, and then I'm gonna do this so I can. Well, poop. Okay, there we go. I'm pretty sure it's like fur down here. Oh wait, it is. It does have my notation on here. So we have on July 19th, right? So this is all July 19th. It's later in the morning, as you can see. We have somebody, because we don't know who it is, it's all redacted, but saying that LaVena had changed her eating habits, given away some of her possessions, and began smoking. Said she hated her life and wished she were dead. Yes, those, and this is what I was saying at the very beginning, like there are some parts that do definitely aid in the defense of suicide. Those are pretty case in point suicidal red flags. If someone drastically changes their behavioral habits, like LaVena was 100% against smoking and drinking, and she suddenly starts smoking a pack a day situation, what's going on? You know, that kind of thing. And she's giving away her personal possessions. She's changing the way she's eating. She was a vegetarian, I believe, and then changed that. She says she hates her life. She wishes she were dead, where before she was very happy-go-lucky and positive. Those should be red flags to people who know her, right? Like, what's going on? So definitely red flags. But then I wrote over here conflicting, because 10 minutes later, a different person being interviewed said, oh no, she seemed like she was in good spirits and she never talked of hurting herself. So somebody's lying, or LaVena is confiding in somebody and putting on a show for others. I'm still not fooled that she killed herself. I'm not. What's his name? I'm gonna look it up because he's in here. No, he's not. He was not in here, but I found him in a different file, so I'll look him up. His name, Mr. Poo-Poo Head. So those were some interesting things. I tried to keep my color coding as pink for her behavioral, like whenever they spoke about or said anything about how she acted or was portrayed, and then yellow was more evidentiary, interesting things. No burns on the inside of the tent, yet it was on fire. Thought that was interesting. Noticed, oh yeah, there was no change in product or behavior over the past few weeks. No signs that she was having any difficulties. She always seemed upbeat and happy. She had strong family ties, moral standards. She liked to call home a lot. She did not smoke or drink and was very religious. She was never seen mad, upset, or stressed. So this is 315 pages, but, oh yeah, this is a great one. So, this is one person's account, and I'm down here at the yellow, right here. He heard an explosion and saw a flash of flames. So one person hears an explosion. I'm just gonna leave that there because that's pretty descriptive. You're on a battlefield anyways, right? You're in wartime, war zones basically, right? You're in the middle of it. You know what explosions sound like, you know what gunfire sounds like. You're describing what you witnessed as an explosion. Okay. Oh, here's that spot where I was saying they poured dirt on the fire to put it out, where it might have messed up the gunshot residue during their attempt to move the body. Because you do that, right? You move the body always when you come across a dead person, because that helps investigation. During their attempt to move the body, they found the individual to be deceased and the weight of the individual to be too much to safely move while the fire was still burning. So the sergeant so-and-so stated that he and so-and-so turned their attention to the fire and began putting it out with dirt they found outside the tent. Great. Individual was lying on her left side. I highlighted that because in other accounts, she's laying on her back. So some say she was on her left side. Some say she was on her back. It matters. It matters. It matters. It matters. M16 was laying across her left arm. If she's laying on her left side, how is anything laying across her left arm? Is her left arm not her left side? I don't know. I don't understand that. Muzzle's facing up. There's a bunch here, and it's all going to be included in the show notes, but the things I read everything. Gunshot residue was recovered. However, the number was considered insignificant. You can see my original thought was like, what? It is significant. What is the problem? And then I was like, oh. There are 6 possibilities why it would be considered insignificant right there. And the body was moved. The hands were rubbed. Any explosion adjacent to the body. Again, with the explosion word, the weapon itself did not deposit a significant amount of gunshot residue. Timeline from event. Okay, so there are options for it to not be significant in terms of their wording there. And then this is the statement. There's a lot of statements that were handwritten, obviously, but then they're summarized and given to us where I highlighted and stuff. All right, here we go. So we've got some sketches here, which I find highly interesting because many of them differ quite a bit. Remember that bench I told you about, right? Body, bench, gun. Now we have body, bench, fire. Where's the gun? There's no gun in this picture. Don't know. Maybe it wasn't there. Then we have, dun 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 dun. Oh, that's outside. We have another image. We have another sketch. We have burning, so fire, bench, body, gun. Body, gun together. Okay. These are different people, by the way. Then we have, dun 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 dun. Not sure what that is. But that's body. Then gun, where muzzle is facing a very different way than straight up. There's no bench in this drawing. Maybe that says burn. So maybe that's where the fire was. Interesting. Then we have I know there's more. I'm really trying to get you to see all the pictures bam bada bam bada bam bada bam right next to each other because I find it interesting. Maybe that was all of them. Oh, this was just kind of like the final say-so about the gunshot residue. So the official say-so was, or the official findings, the official wrap it up gunshot residue style was, they say the subject A either did not handle the gun, did not fire the gun, or B, the subject handled the gun or discharged it, but there just wasn't enough gunshot residue from the gun on the hands, which seems pretty lame of an explanation to me. Why even put it there? Duh. Or 3C, the subject handled or discharged the firearm that deposited a significant amount of GSR, but something manipulated the residue. I think it's A, based off of everything we know. Then we have, dun, 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 dun. Aha, I knew there were more. Then we have a very, like, Microsoft Paint image here. We've got fire, body, bench, gun again, pointing face up. Now, notice my sketches, I'm like, okay, so now it's facing up. Which way was it? It was either facing out, facing to her left, facing across her, it was not there. I mean, there are differing accounts. Why are we just trusting one sketch, one account over all of them? And now this is litter and not bench, unless they call benches litter in, I don't know. I'm not sure. So I found this interesting, just majorly because of the differing accounts and whatnot. There's also like the interviews from or between the interviewee, the investigator, and her ex-boyfriend, asking about her mental state and things like that, and he was like, she's fine, you know, she was mentally sound when we were together. And then we have a lot of very hard to see images. This was the tent, the contractor's tent in question. And this was the outside of it, where I guess they found those piles of dirt that they scooped up. And there's the bench. There's the bench. So I'm not going to go through the rest of this, but I do remember having... I thought I had more. Maybe not. I wrote more. Nope, guess not. Oh, I did. That's okay. I just highlighted where, yeah, there's a 6-inch by 4-inch stain that appears to be blood containing suspected bone or flesh and hair. That's on the bench. This is 315 pages. There are not any graphic images, and I wouldn't show them if there were, to preserve LaVena's honor. But this is, I think, a pretty open and shut case. I think the other guy did it. And then the whole battalion, I don't know if that's what it's called, forgive me again for my lack of knowledge here, I think they covered it up. Because, I don't know. I don't have reasons for that, but that's what I think. Unfortunately. While I still have you, let me look that guy's name up so we can definitely bring him to justice too. But other than that, I don't have much else to say. I do have that there's not been any updates officially on her case. It's still suicide in her death report. Her family is very vocal about the fact that they do not believe that was a suicide, and they are their hands are tied. They don't know what to do because it's the government, and what do? You know? No, it might be. I'm not gonna pull the names out until I until I have them for sure. I don't want to watch a video. I know I had it somewhere. It's got to be in my show notes. Hold on. Is it this one? There's a lot of coverage on this case already. And like I said, it's from 2005. There's been a lot of coverage on her. However, it's still unsolved in most people's minds. So I think it deserves new visibility, I guess. Aha, found him. Former 4-star Army General Kevin P. Burns, Byrnes. He was third in seniority among the Army's 11 generals at the time. Burns, who was appointed to his command position by President George W. Bush in November 2002, headed the Army's Training and Doctrine Command, 1st Cavalry Division. In this capacity, Burns supervised the recruitment and academic programs at 33 Army schools, from basic training to the war colleges. And that's from Donald Watkins' post or article. So he is the one. He is the one that, for those of us who don't buy the suicide story, he's the one who makes the most sense to have assaulted her and killed her. Now, is there proof of that? Of course not. At least not any that we'll likely get. And I think that's a travesty. I think that's... I don't have words. I really don't. I do, however, I think, again, we need to... I'll speak for myself. I would like to honor our fallen heroes, whether they died in combat, afterwards, or for some other reason, like LaVena. I thank you for your service. Happy Memorial Day. I know I'm a little early, but happy Memorial Day. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, with me. I'm used to saying us. I mean, I am with the dogs, but... And before I leave, let me see if I can get LaVena back up on the screen to say goodbye. We do have her her tombstone too in Jefferson Memorial or National Cemetery. So, LaVena Lynn Johnson, thank you for your service, ma'am. And put her beautiful face back up here while I kind of wrap it up. For next week, Lisa will be back, and we'll be back to two of us on the screen, so you don't just hear my blabbery voice the whole time. And check out our merch. I had it on the screen before. It's also on our Facebook page. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. See you next week.